Good morning, Impression Hall. It is a Wednesday, the 10th day of September, bringing Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson tagged another high-profile official, former Public Works Secretary Manny Bonoan. Lacson accused Bonoan of being involved in the family business that also secured billions in flood control projects. Senators Jingo Estrada and Joel Villanueva were implicated in a House Infrastructure Committee probe into anomalous flood control projects. The accusation came from two DPWH engineers who claimed the two senators were accepting kickbacks. And what does the postponement of former President Rodrigo Duterte's confirmation of charges hearing at the ICC really mean? We'll break it down later with ICC accredited lawyer Gilbert Andres. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson blasts DPWH officials in Bulacan, accusing them of squandering nearly ₱1 billion in casinos while residents suffer in floodwaters. Here is a report.
Parang nakinikinita ko na, Mr. President, na nagtatawanan pa ang mga matatalinong gagong matching na ito habang nagbibiyahe papuntang kasino, dala ang kwartang kinulimbat habang naglilimas ng tubig baha, papalabas ng kanilang mga bahay ang mga pobreng taga Bulacan.
Blatant, shameless, without conscience. That was the fiery statement of Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson against several DPWH Bulacan officials accused of squandering billions in casinos. Lacson exposed the so-called BGC boys, or Bulacan Group of Contractors, a ring of 5 officials allegedly consumed by gambling and corruption. Identified were Henry Alcantara, alias Joseph Castro Villegas, Bryce Erickson Hernandez, alias Marvin Santos de Guzman, JP Mendoza, alias PJ Castro Asuncion, RJ Domasig, alias Sandro Bernardo Park, and Edric San Diego. They reportedly used fake names and IDs to enter casinos. Based on documents, the group spent an estimated 950 million pesos in various casinos in Metro Manila, Cebu, and Pampanga.
Habang lubog pa rin sa tubig baha ang mga taga Bulacan dahil sa mga pangungurakot na mga ito, sige pa rin ang pagpapasasa ng BGC Boys sa pagwawaldas ng pera ng taong bayan. Walang kahiya-hiya sa katawan. Wala pong konsyensya ang mga ito, Mr. President.
Lacson added, the group curiously managed to win nearly ₱500 million in casinos. Too lucky perhaps? Or was there something else at play?
Sinuwerto nga ba sabay-sabay na nanalo ang mga ito, Mr. President? O baka naman money laundering scheme? May report kami at ito ay amin pang binabalidate na peke lang ang pagdeklara nilang panalo.
The controversy doesn't stop at gambling. Even their projects raised red flags like this ₱92 million flood control project in Barangay Perez, Bulacan. It was awarded on December 17, 2024. Just 3 days later, by December 20, it was already reported as 46% complete.
2 araw, Ginoong Pangulo, halos nangangalahati na agad sila sa accomplishment. May pambihirang talento at unusual speed pala ang mga taga-Sims Construction. O baka may magic, Christmas magic, dahil magpapasko na.
3 months later, the firm claimed 89% completion, even though photos showed barely any progress.
No-brainer, ika nga, maliwanag na iisa ang larawan na ginamit at sinumite para sa 2 progress billings ng SIMS.
The most explosive revelation, Global Crete Builders, which allegedly cornered over ₱2.2 billion worth of flood control projects. According to Lacson, the company is owned by the family of Candaba Mayor Rene Maglanque. Global Crete is also linked to MBB Global Properties, whose officials include the children of high-ranking government figures, including DPWH's Bonoan. The company president is Mayor Maglanque's son. The corporate secretary is the daughter of retired DPWH Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo. The treasurer, Bonoan's own child.
Kaya naman pala ang palaging depensa ni dating DPWH Secretary Bunuan, isolated case lang daw. Ayaw na siguro ni Bunuan na maungkat pa sa investigasyon ang global threat.
Neither Bunoan nor Maglanque has issued a statement. Lacson, meanwhile, called for criminal charges to be filed against everyone involved, whether contractors, DPWH officials, or even lawmakers.
Senators Jinggoy Estrada and Joel Villanueva denied allegations made by former Bulacan 1st District Assistant Engineer Bryce Hernandez, who accused them of receiving kickbacks from flood control projects. Mobile journalist Arles de los Santos with the details.
Your Honor, wala po.
Sigurado ka? Safe ka na?
Sigurado po.
I resent that statement, Mr. Chair. I resent that statement.
Safe ka na.
This moment from Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing has since gone viral. It was after Contractor Pacifico Curly Discaya was asked whether any senators were involved in any anomalous flood control projects. But at this House Infrastructure Committee hearing, DPWH Bulacan's former Assistant District Engineer implicated not just one, but two senators, plus a couple more DPWH officials into the mess.
Si Senator Jinggoy Estrada, Senator Joel Villanueva, Yusek Robert Bernardo, at D. Alcantara. Si Senator Jinggoy po ay nagbaba ng 355 million ngayong 2025 sa mga ilang projects sa Bulacan. Noong 2023 naman, ay naglabas ng 600 million si Senator Joel Villanueva.
According to Hernandez, his boss, disgraced DPWH District Engineer Henry Alcantara, told him their commitment was 30% of the contract prices to the aforementioned senators. To prove this, Hernandez showed photos of wads of cash they allegedly prepared for the lawmakers.
Sa tambayan po namin yan eh. So yan po dyan po pine-prepare yung mga pera for delivery with regard sa mga proponent na kausap ni Boss Henry Alcantara.
He even showed selfies of Estrada with Alcantara, allegedly taken during a senator's birthday at the hotel.
Engineer Henry Alcantara and Senator Jinggoy Estrada have met a couple of times. Yan po, sabi po nila hindi po sila magkakilala. Baka naman po fan lang siya. And they appear super close, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Please proceed. Next picture, please.
As for Villanueva, fellow DPWH Bulacan engineer JP Mendoza showed screenshots of Viber exchanges, allegedly with Villanueva. He said these messages were set to disappear after being read. In this, Villanueva allegedly asked for additional multi-purpose buildings. Mendoza claimed he had been told by Alcantara to take a photo of the conversation. But Alcantara denied all the accusations, saying he had no personal connections to either of the two senators. As for the photos of the money, Alcantara insisted they weren't bribes or kickbacks.
Your Honor, yung pera po na yun, yung nasa bahay na po yun, I think po, yan po ay pera ng contractor po na nakolekta, nagamit ang ibang lisensya, doon lang po dinala, at nagkatuwaan po na picturean po yan.
Asked for his side, Estrada sent a message to reporters categorically denying all these allegations. Later on, he held a press conference at the Senate angrily lashing out at Hernandez.
Galit talaga ako, talaga napamura ako, napakasinungaling nitong taong to. Because first of all, hindi ko siya kilala.
May picture kayo ni DPWH Engineer Alcantara, sir? Do you remember that, sir, when it was taken?
I do not know, I cannot recall that event, pero sa dami naman nagpapapicture sa akin, hindi ko naman pwede tanggihan.
Estrada also insisted he never endorsed the funding of 355 million pesos to fund projects in Bulacan. He said these are among the line items in the 2025 budget for which anyone could be accused of inserting. Estrada also vowed to press charges against the engineer.
I will ensure that Mr. Hernandez is held accountable for perjury.
Villanueva, for his part, thinks he is being implicated because he has with him affidavits of some DPWH engineers that are supposed to be brought to the committee hearing. Villanueva insisted he is not hiding anything and said he is ready to face any investigation.
Wala po ako kailanman naging flood control project. Hindi ko po sasabihin na I categorically deny this accusation. dahil po may resibo po tayo. Meron po pwedeng i-verifika kung bakit ito nangyayari.
Public Works Secretary Vince Dizon said the agency is finalizing its proposed 2026 budget. In an interview with The Big Story, Dizon said the budget will be formally submitted on September 15. He also believes that the alleged ghost flood control projects in Oriental Mindoro were carried out by a syndicate-like group. Dizon compared their methods and operations to the so-called Bulacan Group of Contractors, or the BGC Boys, noting striking similarities. He vowed that all officials and personnel linked to irregularities and flood control projects be held accountable regardless of rank.
It doesn't matter if you're an undersecretary, assistant secretary, director, regional director, district engineer. If we see that you have done something wrong, sorry, you're going to be dismissed and eventually cases are going to be filed against you. It's that simple. That's what the president said. The time to talk is done. Now it's all about quick and swift action.
When we return, we'll delve into the House probe that happened yesterday. And joining us this morning, we have House Infrastructure Committee Chairman Representative Terry Ridon. Don't go away. We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Good morning, I'm Gretchen Owen here on Morning Matters. We talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. DPWH Undersecretary Maria Catalina Cabral confirmed the 51 billion peso allocation for Davao City's first district. According to Cabral, this was allocated during former President Rodrigo Duterte's last 3 years in office. Davao Representative Paulo Duterte defended the projects, saying they were legitimate and visible on the ground. He also criticized colleagues for diverting the issue away from testimonies linking DPWH officials to alleged payoffs. The House Infrastructure Committee resumed its probe into questionable flood control projects, this time with explosive new names. And joining us now to answer some questions, we have House Infrastructure Committee Chair Representative Terry Ridon. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Kong.
Ay, magandang umaga. Maraming salamat sa pag-imbita.
Congressman, bombshells were dropped in your hearing yesterday, the biggest of them all, tagging 2 senators as complicit to systemic corruption. Una-una, sinabi ba sa'yo ni Bryce that he was going to bear all before the actual hearing yesterday?
No, we weren't actually prepared for that. So we weren't prepared for the pictures as well and the screenshots of the conversations with personnel of Senator Jinggoy and with Senator Joel Villanueva himself. No?
And with that, what kind of security will be provided for Bryce? I understand it's not just him, also JP, yung katabi niya. Ilan kaya sila na protektahan ng House?
Sila pong dalawa. Si kay Bryce po kasi joint custody po ito with the Senate. Si JP Mendoza po ay para po sa Kongreso lang po. Hindi lang po silang dalawa, kundi kahit po yung pamilya nila, no, ay gagawa na po ng protected custody ng Kongreso. So we will make arrangements within the day para dun sa pamilya naman po nila.
But as it stands, is it correct that Bryce is in the PNP custodial facility?
Yes, correct. And I think si JP Mendoza will also be staying there, no? Pero yung sa pamilya nila, I think we have to determine pa ho where they can actually stay.
Will they both apply for state witness?
That is something that I'm not certain about kasi DOJ po yun, no? Yung po mag-decide dyan.
Okay.
Pero I think they can qualify for it kasi ano lang naman ho sila eh. Staff lang ho sila ni District Engineer Alcantara, sila yung inuutusan. It just so happened na syempre they have a particular documentation and evidence, no? Linking senators and District Engineer Alcantara dito po sa mga proyekto and payoffs.
And the burden of proof, of course, on the accusations, medyo mabibigat po kasi ito, no? Will be on Bryce Hernandez. As a lawyer, do you think he has enough proof as it is? Yung kahapon ng mga ipinakita na Viber screenshots, mga litrato na magkakasama ang kanyang boss na si Henry Alcantara with the Senator Jinggoy and yung record sa casino. What do you think? Do you think that this is enough proof already?
Yung si Engineer Alcantara, no? I think malinaw na ho yun, yung relation niya sa ghost projects at iba pang mga bagay. No? Yung sa pag-link po ng mga senators, may mga kailangan po tayong mga particular na detalye tungkol dyan. Pero I think very important po yung dalawang points. No? Una, hindi ho ma-deny na ho ni Senator Joel na he was actually talking to District Engineer Alcantara. Kasi inadmit na ho ni D. Alcantara na it was actually a conversation with Senator Joel, ang hindi lang ho niya ina-admit yung fact that they were talking about flood control projects. No? Pero I think it is clear na talagang yung conversation na yon is with Senator Joel. So ano na ho yun, admitted na ho yun yesterday. No? Tapos secondly, yung denial po ni Senator Jinggoy, nakilala niya si Mr. Alcantara, I think nalatag naman ho yun na firstly it was a denial by Mr. Alcantara, no? Pero he was confronted with the pictures. And then he was confronted with the facts na you were actually working with, he was working in City Hall, no? With Yusek Bernardo and during the time that Mayor Estrada was in the Manila City Hall, no? So parang these are like facts na parang mahirap na hong basagin ng general denials ni Senator Jinggoy and Senator Joel.
Congressman, alam naman natin that this probe is in aid of legislation. Pero ano kaya sa tingin ninyo ang mga kasong maaari nang maisampa sa ngayon? For example, pwede na ba yung money laundering given na meron ng actual paper trail?
Well, I think sa bahagi po ng Senado yun, kay Senator Ping Lacson ho yun na mas linatag, no? Sa bahagi po namin, yung pong pinag-usapan, at least hindi ho dito sa usapin po kina Senator Joel and Jinggoy, no? Kundi dito sa usapin po ng mga diskayas, para maipalabas natin doon that they actually admitted sa plunder, no? So I think yan po yung mga pwede na hong ikaso at pag-aralan versus the diskayas in the coming days.
Okay. And then another thing, no, yung medyo umamin din si Henry Alcantara that nagpapahiram ng lisensya. Yun naman ho ay pwede na rin bang i-pursue yun?
Pwede ho yung i-pursue, pero ang sinasabi niya kasi parang he was just like stating a fact that contractors were actually lending their licenses, no? Pero parang hindi niya naman sinabi, nakasabot siya doon sa pag-lend ng licenses. Pero even without actually talking about the contents of the hearing yesterday, yung pong liability ni Mr. Alcantara over the ghost projects in Baliwag, Bulacan, and yung pong sa Plaridel, Bulacan na nakita po ni Secretary Dins, malinaw ho yun kasi he was part of that entire scheme and mechanism. Kasi siya ho yung head ng opisina po na yun. So pumirma siya sa lahat ng mga proyekto, tapos pumirma ho siya doon sa paglalabas po ng cheque para sa Wawaw, tsaka para po sa SIMS. No? So I think even without talking about the details relating to Senator Joel and Senator Jinggoy, talagang may kaso na po si Mr. Alcantara.
Okay, with what happened over at the Senate at pati naman sa House kahapon, there is a perception that senators and congressmen appear to be drawing battle lines between the two chambers. Yesterday, several senators have said na the admission or the testimony by Bryce Hernandez appears to be designed as retaliation by House leaders. What would you say to that?
Tingin ko hindi naman. Kasi malinaw naman ho na nakalink ho, for example, to line items eh. Kasi buti kung walang line items na binanggit si Bryce, no? Patungkol doon sa dalawang senador. Okay, people can say that it's actually a retaliation. Pero very specific yung line items. Tapos tinatay ho nila doon sa projects po ng mga senador. No? So ang denial po nila, gusto nila malaman kung nasaan ho yun lagay kasi wala naman daw evidence. So ang next question doon, then they will have to ask the BICAM about that. Diba? Kasi as far as we're concerned, relating to the Plaridel Ghost Project, yun na ho yung next step for us. We want to make a determination who actually inserted that Ghost Project into the 2024 General Appropriations Act. So, ibig sabihin, ang next step for the Senate, at least for their defense, is kailangan magkaalaman. Yung bang binanggit ni Bryce ay talagang naka-insert sa BICAM at nakatali pa sa kanilang dalawang mga senador.
Ibig sabihin ba kung open na rin kayo na pag-usapan nitong mga insertions? Kasi noong una, parang sabi nyo, ang scope nitong infracom ay flood control lamang. Doon sa mga bringing up ni Congressman Toby Chanco, open na rin ho kayo na pag-usapan itong mga insertions?
To be very clear, yung discussion on Plaridel and the BICAM is still linked to the flood control project. It is not like a scattershot insinuation of Congressman Chanco na parang it doesn't relate exactly to flood control. So we will talk about the BICAM only because it is related to the Ghost Project in Plaridel and on the 2024 General Appropriations Act.
But there were also revelations from contractors na sinasabi na pagka ang insertions ay unprogrammed, pagka ang budget ay unprogrammed or insertions, parang automatic 25% yung nagiging patong. Doesn't that open everything? I mean, para tignan lahat kung ano ba, kung saan yan. Kasi kung buong sistema na rin ho, o talagang yun lang, flood control lang talaga ang magiging sakop po ng inquiry niyo.
Pero alam mo, hindi ko masyado naiintindihan yung explain. Actually, galing kay Mr. Alcantara, I think, no? Yung pong, kay Mr. Diskaya, yung pong unprogrammed flood control. Pero parang hindi naman ganun Parang hindi ko masyado naiintindihan yung sinasabi niya na unprogrammed flood control. Kasi ang totoo, if it's a line item in the General Appropriations Act, it will still be fully funded. So, kumbaga, if it's there in the GAA, pupondohan pa rin po ng gobyerno. So, I think, if it's in the GAA, programmed appropriation po yung consideration sa kanila. So parang I think there's a bit of confusion on the part of Mr. Diskaya on how it actually is.
Okay, kung ano yun, there needs to be some more clarity on that. I bring that up.
I mean, irrespective of whether it's unprogrammed and programmed, for as long as it is a flood control project, and for as long as it is anomalous, like substandard or ghost, it will be subject to inquiry.
Okay. I bring that up because also during your hearing, Yusek Cabral did affirm that Representative Pulong Duterte's district got 51 billion in infrastructure funds during the last 3 years of his father. Do you think there's anything there that is worth looking into? Yun nga, parang kung nasa NEP ang recommendation, for example, in 2020, 4 billion lamang, nakakuha siya ng 13 billion dun na sa GAA. Di ba ang laki rin nung talon na yun? Will that not be part of the scope of your inquiry, given the new information?
Makakasama po talaga yun. At siyempre, again, we will have to go back to the basic mandate of the Infracom, which is to look at anomalous flood control projects, no? So, ibig sabihin nun, kailangan natin malaman, meron bang ghost, meron bang substandard doon sa 51 billion na mga proyekto, particularly because of the Discayas as well. Kasi nga, ang sinasabi nga, namayagpag sila nung panahon ngayon, namayagpag sila tumodo nung pong nagdaang gobyerno, no? So, I think the clear tie and logic as to why we are going back to 2016 is absolutely clear. It's not just because we wanted to look at the 51 billion of Congressman Pulong Duterte.
Congressman, yung iba nagsasabi, since nandyan na rin, bakit di na lang buksan yung baga parang Pandora's box na ito? I mean, why just flood control?
No. I think the mandate of the committee is not just flood control, but also all other infrastructure projects. So, ibig sabihin, all the other schemes in previous governments like yung rock netting scam, na parang overpriced po yung mga materyales, will be opened. No? Ibig sabihin, ang hirap lang din pong magmadali. Dahil siyempre, gusto din natin maglatag ng kasong maayos para talaga makapag-file po tayo ng mga actual na mga kaso laban sa mga nasasangkot.
For the proper build-up of the case, para hindi po malunod. Kasi parang sa totoo lang, kaming publiko, nalulunod na. Ang dami po sabay-sabay po na impormasyon na dumarating. Pero yun nga, yung malalaki, hindi po namin nami-miss out yan. Katulad na lang ng involvement o possible link of the former DPWH Secretary Manny Bonoan. Will he be summoned to your next hearing? Given na alam ko sa kabila po yun, sa Senate po, si Ping Lacson ang nagsabi na there's a possible involvement between the MBB Corporation of his daughter with Global Crete, one of the top contractors in flood control. Sino po ang isasamon susunod ng House? At kasama ba dun si Secretary Manny Bonoan?
Papipinalin pa namin yung next agenda, no? Kung tapos na. Kasi inantay pa namin, for example, si Sara Diskaya na bumalik, no? Kasi obviously nawasak ko talaga yung affidavit ni Curly Diskaya kahapon. Ang dami niyang atras abante, tapos hindi din talaga, obvious talaga na hindi niya sinasabi yung kabuuan pong katotohanan. So I think we will have another round with the Diskaya couple, no? Pero I think pwede yung ma-invite ulit si Secretary Bonoan, pero siyempre that is the Senate's research eh. So tingnan pa ko namin if we'll be able to get a little bit more details on the matter.
What would you want to find out with Curly Diskaya? You already mentioned there was a gaping hole between 2016 to 2022. Ano pa yung mga tingin ninyong pwedeng malaman?
Major pa rin yun eh. Major yun, unanswered and unconvinced. Yung pong committee, again, I will state it, bakit walang senador sa listahan kung ginagawa nila yan as an obvious mechanism for such a long time? And secondly, bakit yung ledger po nila ng payoffs nagsimula lang po ng 2022 kung linatag po namin sa kanila na in every administration they were the top contractors, no? And yung excuse nila na ngayon lang kasi naghigpit so na pwersa silang magbigay, hindi naman daw po yung totoo, sabi ng DPWH mismo. Kasi nga, ang sinasabi ng 3-strike rule did not get implemented in 2022. It got implemented in 2015. Diba? And the basic law for that was implemented in 2003. So, kumbaga, they cannot say anymore that was actually the reason why they started making payoffs lang noong 2022. So, kumbaga, kung magsasabi sila ng totoo, sabihin na nila. At tingin ko, yung mga particular na detalye na yan, yung walang senador na nababanggit at before 2016, yun po yung mga mahalagang mga detalye na kailangan pong malaman ng bayan.
Congressman, alam ko senador ho siya, no? Pero he was the former DPWH Secretary. We're talking about Senator Mark Villar. Is it possible to call him as a resource person in your probe? Or meron pong pagdating sa ganon, parliamentary courtesy? Paano po may rules sa ganon?
Well, we will try to invite him. Pagka ho talaga, for example, directly linked siya, for example, named siya, no, in a particular anomalous transaction, we will try to invite him, but we cannot compel him kasi that will break interparliamentary courtesy.
Will you try to invite Senator Jinggoy and Senator Joel, or is that
no, I
futile?
think we will not break interparliamentary courtesy.
When it comes to that.
Pero that's just me. That's just me. I have to talk to the committee first kung talaga bang kailangan.
Oo.
Pero ibig sabihin, they have their platform in the Senate. We will let them have their platform in the Senate.
Okay, bukod po kay sa mga diskaya, sino pa po ang iimbitahan po sa susunod?
Well, hindi pa po tayo tapos sa Wawaw. Hindi pa sila nagpakita, I think, kahapon. Yung SIMS, ito po yung mga involved sa mga ghost projects, bubuin pa ho natin yung testimonies din nila sa Kongreso kasi sila lang naman ho yung mga missing pieces para dyan po sa ghost projects po sa Baliwag and sa Plaridel.
Will you also be inviting Yusek Bernardo to the next hearing?
I think pwede ho siyang maimbita kasi napangalanan siya sa amin pong komite. In fact, napangalanan din po siya sa Senado.
Ito nga ho, when it comes to him, actually several times po nabanggit yung pangalan niya. It seems that Yusek Bernardo, Henry Alcantara, and may relasyon po yan, no? They go all the way back to Manila City Hall days, of course, which was ran by the former President Joseph Estrada. What do you make of the connections here?
Basically, doon nga ho nahuli si Mr. Alcantara. Doon sa kanya pong general denial na hindi niya kilala, hindi niya kaibigan si Senator Jinggoy. Kasi nga, he was confronted after that general denial, he was confronted with the pictures of him being in two parties, and secondly, he was confronted with the fact that he actually worked with Undersecretary Bernardo during the time of Senator Jinggoy's father's term, in the city of Manila. So, parang ang hirap ang hirap karoon ng general denial in the press conference na wala siyang kinalaman sa kahit ano, given these contending evidence.
And is there, DE Henry Alcantara, what is his situation now? Has he been cited in contempt, and is he kept in the house?
No. Ano pa rin siya? Wala pa rin pong contempt citation versus District Engineer Alcantara. So hopefully he will still cooperate, with us in the next couple of hearings.
Oo, kasi baka mapasalita rin katulad ni ni Bryce Hernandez kung sakasakali.
Conscious naman tayo dun sa contempt powers, pero kumbaga, ayaw din natin kasi loosely ini-implement siya. No? So, kailangan din pag-isipan talaga kung kailan ho dapat yan ikinakasa at hindi po ikinakasa.
Okay. Kailan ho ang susunod na hearing?
Pagpapasyahan pa po namin. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks, meron pa ulit.
All right. Okay. Maraming salamat for giving us more details and answering some questions. Thank you so much for your time today. We have House Infrastructure Committee Chair, Representative Terry Ridon.
Maraming salamat. Magandang umaga.
Meanwhile, Quezon City 6th District Representative Marivic Copilar turned emotional as she directly confronted contractor Curly Discaya during Tuesday's House Infrastructure Committee hearing. Discaya earlier named Copilar as one of the lawmakers who received kickbacks from them. The lawmaker, however, stressed it was her first time seeing him in person and firmly denied having any transactions with the Discayas. Copilar maintained she had no links to the alleged flood control anomaly and rejected any accusation tying her to irregularities.
Mula sa pagiging kagawad ko hanggang naging congressman ako, wala akong record ng korupsyon. At para madawit at yurakan ang aking pangalan, hindi man gabundok na pera ang meron ako katulad ni Mr. Discaya. Pero kahit minsan, hindi ko inisip na pagnakawan ang mamamayan ko.
Coming right up, the National Union of People's Lawyers criticized the International Criminal Court's move to postpone the confirmation of charges hearing for former President Rodrigo Duterte. All that and more when Morning Matters returns. Keep it here. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. The National Union of People's Lawyers expressed dismay over the International Criminal Court's decision to postpone the confirmation of charges hearing against former President Rodrigo Duterte. In a statement, the group said Duterte is notorious for using drama and tactics of delay, stressing that Filipinos have seen such maneuvers many times before. NUPL argued that if Duterte is unwell, he could waive his right to be physically present and allow his lawyers to represent him. The group said it will coordinate with the Office of the Public Counsel for Victims to push for the resetting of the hearing at the soonest possible time. And joining us to discuss the implications of this postponement is ICC accredited lawyer Gilbert Andres. Magandang umaga sa iyo. Welcome back to Morning Matters. Attorney, I think you're on mute.
Magandang umaga, Gretchen, and to your viewers also.
Okay, magandang umaga. Okay, una-una, your reaction to this postponement and how does this affect, I guess, the prosecution? Now, will this be significant delay or is this administrative mostly in nature?
I think, Gretchen, on the part of the victims, they're deeply frustrated and disappointed by this delay, and by this postponement because they have actually been waiting for this next step in their quest for justice. But I think also that this is merely administrative, so this is merely temporary. In fact, the pretrial chamber has emphasized that this is not a unlimited period of delay. This is actually merely temporary.
This is actually a little bit confusing because the defense petitions to defer the hearing because the former president is supposedly unfit to stand trial. But in response, the judges decided to defer the hearing to determine if he is unfit. Hindi ba parang nangyari na nga yung deferment na yon just by trying to see kung totoo nga na siya ay unfit? I mean, what would you say to that? And could you explain to us the decision?
Actually, 2 points. The first point is that there was actually no determination that Mr. Duterte is unfit for trial. That was not determined by the pretrial chamber. Secondly, the postponement was really for the pretrial chamber to determine its decision on the adjournment motion, the adjournment application of the defense. And I'd like to add, third, is that in fact the defense actually applied for an indefinite postponement, but the pretrial chamber said that the postponement is not indefinite. There's actually a definite period to decide it, except that the pretrial chamber did not state what is that definite period.
But if you take a look at the whole thing, wouldn't a delay be disadvantageous to the defense since it keeps the former president longer in the ICC penitentiary?
Well, I actually would agree with that. Well, this is really a part of the process, but I also to add that I think based on the tenor itself of the decision, I think there will really be a confirmation of charges if we just look at the tenor of that decision on the postponement.
I guess the question I'm really asking here is what is defense trying to do by asking for this deferment? And do you believe that, or have you been hearing about the health of the former president?
Well, I think, if we can just divine from the decision itself, I think the defense is using the fitness for trial as a justification for the postponement of the confirmation of charges. And I think we can divine from all of their submissions that they're asking for examinations of Mr. Duterte. But I'd also like to add that, in fact, if we look at Article 61 of the ICC Rome Statute, which is the provision on confirmation of charges, there's actually no provision there for a resetting or a postponement based on fitness to proceed to trial. because in fact it presupposes that there's a trial proper. But for now, this is merely pre-trial, and in fact, it still has to be determined whether or not it will go on to trial. In fact, that was the tenor of the reasoning of the dissenting opinion of one of the judges.
Is there a link you think to also the request for interim release? Kasi yun din ang dinadahilan, no, na medyo, kumbaga parang old age na si former president and hindi naman siya tatakas and all of that.
I think so, because in fact, if you also try to review their applications for interim release, although it's heavily redacted, you can only divine that they're also using this reasoning in their application for interim release, and in fact, they're using it for the resetting of the confirmation charges. The alleged their allegations with respect to fitness to proceed with trial.
On the other hand, doesn't this give prosecution more time to solidify its case against the former president? I say this in light of Rina Garma applying as witness in the ICC.
Well, we can also look it in that way, although there has already been disclosures of evidence previously, because there were in fact deadlines last August. And there's already a lineup of the documents or testimonial affidavits that the prosecution will present. As to whether or not Colonel Garma will actually testify through documents, that's really the final discretion of the Office of the Prosecutor.
Kumbaga, this was already expected by prosecution that she will testify?
I think what the Secretary of Justice stated is that there will be an initial interview based on what the statement of Secretary Mulya was. Now, as to whether or not former Colonel Garma will actually testify, it's really subject to the discretion of the OTP. So we really don't know as of now whether she will testify in the case for the confirmation of charges.
And the interview will be conducted by the prosecution. Am I correct in understanding that? To be able to determine kung siya ay magagamit dun sa case? O will that be, done privately?
Oh, actually, okay. I'm going to state a hypothetical because no one really knows for sure. Because in fact, these are actually confidential processes. But the process really is the OTP will interview and then will determine what are the facts that the potential witness can really testify on, and essentially they will determine whether or not this can help the case forward. So the final determination will really be up to the Office of the Prosecutor.
Oh, okay. So private ito, ibig sabihin yung interview?
Yes, this is a private interview. In fact, there's a statement that is confidential. Yes.
Oo, kaya lang parang nabanggit po yata ni DJ Secretary Remulla that she may become ICC witness. So it's a may, no? It's not a will.
It's a may because, in fact, it's part of the prosecutorial discretion of the Office of the Prosecutor who it will actually present in any process in the ICC.
Sa iyong pagbasa, gaano kalaki itong kanyang role, kanyang parte? She did expose the reward system here in the Duterte drug war. Anong contribution ng testimony ni Rina Garma?
I think just based on her previous testimonies before the Philippine Congress, Colonel Garma can actually help in the contextual element. Because remember, when it comes to crimes against humanity, there's actually a element there of this meaning to say there's a widespread or systematic attack against the civilian population. So hindi lang po ito random na patayan sa war on drugs. At sa tingin ko po, that's what Colonel Garma can actually provide for. So na widespread or systematic attack to. At planado po ito. This is part of a state policy. So pwede po siya magkaroon ng insider look as to what is that policy of the Duterte administration was during the Philippine water.
Okay. Could you help us fill in some gaps here? Kasi di ba siya ay nag-testify dito sa Kamara. Tapos bigla siyang lumipad. I believe in the United States. What was happening there? I mean, was she just being protected by the state? I guess the Department of Justice, kaya doon muna siya nilagay kasi she's safer there. Or was it difficult, was it difficult convincing her to actually help the case of prosecution?
Actually, it's really very difficult to actually speculate kung what were really the intentions there. But I think what the Philippine government is now doing based on its action is that it's really fully cooperating with the ICC. Because in fact, we have stated previously that even though the Philippines withdrew from the Rome Statute, it still has residual obligations. May natitira pa rin po mga obligasyon ng Pilipinas na mag-cooperate po sa isang ongoing ICC investigation. Kaya kung tingnan niyo lang po yung actions ng Philippine government, it's actually cooperating with the ICC investigation.
Pero si Colonel Garma, wala naman siyang, do you see any form of hesitancy from her or backtracking? Wala naman. She is really fully committed here as a possible witness.
I really hope that she will be fully committed to it. In fact, that's one of the determination in any ICC investigation that's being determined whether full consent ba yung pagiging potential witness ng isang witness po. Isa po yan sa mga i-determine po ng Office of the Prosecutor.
Okay. Are you hearing of anybody else moving forward to testify, particularly with the PNP? Meron ba tayong mga naririnig na dumadagdag na witness, na possible witness?
As of now, walang specific na mga information because it's actually even confidential kasi kung basahin natin yung mga submissions ng OTP na available din sa website ng ICC, talagang redacted din kung sino po yung mga pangalan na i-represent nila. Kaya we can only surmise.
Well, we're grasping at straws here, including on the health of the former president. Kahit mismo si Vice President Sara Duterte has said na hindi raw siya pinapayagan na mag-update tungkol nga dun sa kanyang kalusugan ng kanyang tatay. What are you hearing about that?
When it comes really to the health of any suspect before ICC, it's really subject to the supervision ng registry, which is really a neutral office under the ICC. In fact, nakalagay po sa regulations of the registry yung mga patakaran po ng ICC. At rest assured talaga for everyone that the suspect's health concerns are really taken care of well by the ICC because the ICC puts a premium on the health issues ng isang suspect. Kaya ako lang po, this is my opinion, I don't think there should be a justification for any delay or any postponement or for any justification po para hindi na po matuloy ang confirmation of charges because we believe, the victims believe that Mr. Duterte is really fit to actually attend. And in fact, he can even waive his presence po sa confirmation of charges. Klaro po yan sa Article 61, Paragraph 2 po yan ng Rome Statute.
Pero bakit ho kaya pagbabawalan ng ICC na mag-disclose ng information about the health of the former president?
I think binabalansin ng ICC din yung rights at yung privacy po ng isang suspect. Kaya can really accuse the ICC of any favoritism because it actually looks at the welfare of any suspect. Naman po yung mga decision po ng ICC.
Okay. Siguro naninibago lang tayo, attorney, dito sa mga proceedings ng ICC kasi iba yung yung pamamalakad at pagtakbo pati na rin the way I guess the courts respond to the press and pressure to get information. Pero on your end, what are the adjustments for me as lawyer to the victims? No? Ano po yung mga adjustments in terms of timelines? And how long do you expect this delay to be? Given na parang tingin po ninyo ay medyo mas administrative siya in nature.
I think 3 points. Una, gusto po namin makinig po sa mga biktima ng war on drugs para talagang i-collect po yung kanilang views and concerns dito po sa postponement. Although ang kanila pong initial reaction nga ay talagang deep frustration po sa pag-postpone po ng confirmation of charges. Ikalawa po, gusto po namin ipahiwati. We want to share those views of concerns of the victims to the pretrial chamber through channels na talagang gusto po namin marinig ng pretrial chamber yung deep frustration po ng mga biktima dito po sa postponement. At ikatatlo po ay talagang we are readying for a eventual confirmation of charges because we believe that there should be a confirmation of charges.
Oo. Pero mukhang hindi naman mawawala yun kasi parte ng proseso po yung kasi nasa pre-trial pa lang tayo and we have to get to trial eventually.
Yes. In fact, we want to echo yung dissenting opinion po ng isa sa mga judges na in fact ang postponement po based on any allegations to the fitness, it's not within the power of the pre-trial chamber. It's actually within the power of the trial chamber, which presupposes na natuloy nga into the trial.
Kasi iniisip ko, attorney, naalala ko magkasama tayo sa Hague noon, and we were there for the first ever yung pagbabasa ng mga ipinapata. Yun. And the former president appeared via teleconference. Hindi pa pwedeng ganun nilang din kung sakasakali?
Actually, pwedeng ganon. Oo. In fact, I think nasabi po yan ng defense in one of its submissions. And in fact, the suspect himself can outrightly just waive his appearance kasi provided naman po yan sa Article 61, Paragraph 2 ng Rome Statute. Kaya I think kung basahin mo talaga a reasonable reading of Article 61 and other provisions of the Rome Statute should show na fitness for trial is not actually a justification to actually postpone or to delay the confirmation of charges. And this is actually the tenor of reasoning dun po sa dissenting opinion.
Okay, mukhang tayo'y mag-aantay muli as things are going. But thank you so much for airing the side of the victims and also breaking down things for us over how things work at the ICC. Maraming salamat sa inyong oras. We have ICC accredited lawyer, Attorney Gilbert Andres. Don't go away. More matters discussed after a short break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. President Bongbong Marcos will announce this week the members and powers of the independent commission that will investigate flood control anomalies. Marcos said the panel will act as a fact-finding body with subpoena powers among the authorities being considered. He stressed the commission will not hand down punishment but will instead forward its findings to the DOJ or the Ombudsman. The president declined to name possible members, saying he will make a full announcement soon. He emphasized the need to keep the body truly independent. The Senate has reorganized its committee chairmanships following Monday's leadership shakeup. Senator Ping Lacson now heads the Blue Ribbon Committee, replacing Senator Rodante Marcoleta. Senator Lauren Legarda takes over the Committee on National Defense from Senator Jinggoy Estrada, and the Committees on Accounts and Higher Technical and Vocational Education from Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. Senator Raffy Tulfo now leads the Committee on Labor and Employment, replacing Senator Amy Marcos. Senator J.V. Ejercito replaces Senator Bato de la Rosa as Chair of Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, while Senator Risa Ontiveros succeeds Senator Bongo as Chair of Health and Demography. Ejercito and Hontiveros were also named Deputy Majority Leaders, while Villanueva and Marcoleta elected Deputy Minority Leaders. President Bongbong Marcos confirmed he had spoken several times with General Nicolas Torre III before removing him as PNP chief. Marcos said Torre repeatedly refused to follow directives from the National Police Commission, stressing that the PNP is a civilian agency under NAPOLCOM's authority. He added that as a uniformed service, the police must strictly observe the chain of command. The president explained Torre's dismissal stemmed from his continued defiance despite prior discussions.
It was because he did not agree with the directives that were coming out of NAPOLCOM. And there's a very clear chain of command, that the civilian authority is the overweening authority when it comes to the police. Because the police is essentially, technically, a civilian organization. And NAPOLCOM is the civilian authority that has the authority to monitor and to it has powers, very specific powers in terms of the appointments, and that's where they disagreed. And we cannot, alam naman natin, uniform service yan, kailangan masundan ang chain of command. So that's why, but we had many discussions about it beforehand. Ilang daw talaga niya magawa.
Moving on over to sports, Egypt, Italy, Qatar, and Ukraine have arrived in the Philippines for the FIVB Men's Volleyball World Championship set to begin in 2 days. Mobile journalist Denise Valdez-Sancho with the report.
Dalawang tulog na lang, masasaksihan na ang much-anticipated FIVB Men's Volleyball World Championship. Teams Egypt, Ukraine, Qatar, and Italy are now all here, revved up to face other countries for the FIVB Worlds. Pool A team and world number 23 Egypt is excited to test their skills against the host nation, curious to experience the energy of the Filipino crowd.
Pretty tough group. Playing against the Philippines in their hometown will be a very good experience to play in it. We want to see how the crowd will be in the court.
Ranked second next to Poland, Team Italy is now ready to dominate.
We are here and that we want to play a good volleyball.
Meanwhile, world number 20 Qatar makes a return just for the second time in their history.
We are from Asia, mostly our level. Now in the pool we will face Europe level, and I think we are ready to make a good preparation to come here.
With their last showing since 2022, Ukraine continues to make a mark.
We want to show the best volleyball what we have. So for the people in Ukraine, so I think we will try. We will try.
The prestigious tourney is set to kick off this Friday, opened by a match between the host country and Tunisia, with an opening performance by K-pop group Boy Next Door. Mobile journalist Denise Valdez-Sancho. We are One News.
And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's go ahead and make the day matter. My name is Gretchen Hall. We are One News, all sides, all the time.